Hi, and welcome to the Flute Talk podcast, where we talk about all things flute. If you're looking for more tips or lessons from Emily, please check out musigy.com for all the sheet music, transcriptions, albums, books, and flute lesson packages. That's musigy.com, MUSOGY.com. Also, if you're looking for posters, fingering charts, or merch, you can head over at our merch store at store.theflutechannel.com for all your flute needs. If you want to help us on a monthly basis, you can also consider joining us over at Patreon for as little as $2 a month. This helps us make more great content for you. Check the description for more info. Now on with the show. Hi everybody, welcome to the Flute Talk podcast. I'm Nick.
And I'm Emily.
How's it going, Emily?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. Welcome everybody. Hopefully everyone's having a great month of May. Today we're going to talk a little bit about technique in general, and also answer your questions live. If you have any questions in the chat, be sure to let us know. And if you're listening this after, be sure to join us live at the end of last Sunday of every month. Right?
Yeah.
And
but we moved it.
We moved it this month, obviously, because if you looked at your calendar today, it's not that, but usually we're on that. So yeah, join us then. And if you have any questions or comments and you're watching this even after or whatever, leave a comment or question in this video too. And sometimes we'll look back and we'll answer those questions on the next episode. Yeah. And then we also have a new book coming out in about a month or two, hopefully very, very soon.
Yeah.
About technique. And it's going to be a whole part of an extension of your other books and your whole entire thing like that. And this one will be technique. And then I think you'll also be making a sound.
Yeah. So, like, let's say you've done all the intermediate stuff from the intermediate book, kind of takes you from there to an advanced level. Like, I made 3 levels in that book with different sets of exercises, but then you can still go back, there's different ways to work on it. But I try to, the way I make my methods is that I try to take for granted that someone could learn from it without a teacher, because so many people don't have a teacher or don't have a teacher every week. Maybe they take a lesson here and there, which is totally fine too, or go to a workshop sometimes, but sometimes it's difficult if you're learning on your own to know what to practice, what's efficient. Definitely. And you can lose a lot of time looking through books and stuff like that. So I kind of I do the job for you. So you don't lose that time planning. You just take that and you work on it.
Absolutely.
And I give tricks on how to learn it and all that stuff. So
yeah, but like you said,
I love doing that. And then I'd like to make one about like sound. I think the other one I would like, sound, intonation, and articulation, I think, go together. So I think I'll do that together. But in fact, I think everything goes together. Because like sound is still technique in a way, but that's not how we see it. We separate like finger technique from the air and embouchure and all that, but it's all technique in a way. And it all goes together. You're very fast with your fingers, but you don't support the air properly, it's still not going to sound good. Or you're super out of tune and you don't know how to take care of it. Yeah.
And that's what's like really beneficial about those types of programs and how you kind of set it all up. And just for people to have examples, but not just tips, but you're actually giving full-on instructions on how you approach this if you were in a one-on-one lesson. Like, it's not just that, it's just really, you really apply a lot of practices and a lot of you provide a lot of material, in fact complete material, about how to achieve these goals.
Because there's always videos and MP3s that go with it, so you can hear what it sounds like. And I explain I explain the same way I would explain in a private lesson. And because I've taught so much, I kind of know what's going to come. I kind of know mostly, like, a lot of mistakes that we make. Most people make the same mistakes, or the same misunderstandings.
You try to...
So it's kind of makes it easier to kind of prevent. Just say it ahead of time because you can see, oh yeah, that's the thing where people get confused, you know.
Exactly.
Sometimes people get confused because of the words we use.
Oh yeah,
Because we
there's
use a lot of
terminology.
images, and also there's a lot that is unseen. Like let's say how we breathe, how we what's inside the mouth, like where's the tongue, how do you open inside, all
the
that stuff.
biological systems that are running. Yeah.
It's all inside. You don't see it. So we use a lot of
Anatomical.
yeah, we use a lot of images, but then images can be interpreted in different ways. So I try not to, like, if I use an image, to be very clear that's it's an image.
Yes.
It's not what's really happening. That's how I feel it, because those are very helpful. But you just have to make sure that in the language you're not losing people that understand your image in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then not use and really connecting to what's, or not connecting, but being aware of what's happening in the body.
Yeah.
And not losing that connection, like you said.
Yeah, because communication is about being understood, you know? And
Absolutely.
like, yeah, so that's like, as a teacher, it's something very interesting because it's a lot of communication involved, and like making sure that it's as clear as possible, that there's not too much room for misconceptions. And yeah. So
No.
I love doing that. I love sitting down and being like, okay, what's the next good step to get better? Or what's the most efficient exercise to get to that level? And all that stuff. So that's very fun. And also, so you're not overwhelmed, because you want to stay in your proximal zone of development where you're challenged enough, but not so much that you're discouraged. So yeah, I like that.
Great. Well, we have a couple questions already, which is great, but I have one or two as well, but we'll elaborate on that later. But John wants to know, are there any interesting ways to practice scales? What would be interesting ways to give?
Well, not only are there a lot of interesting ways to practice scales, but there's different scales, like even if you're still playing, like let's say you're playing major and minor scales, but there's different ways. Like let's say you could just practice it 2 octaves.
Yeah.
Just regular 2 octaves.
Just 2 octaves, boom.
Then you could play it on the full extent of the flute. I'll give examples after.
Yeah, of course.
Then you could do, like, let's say tafanel, which is like tafanel EJ4, which is a melodic way of doing it. You could also do the Reichert number 1. That's also scales, but with a little arpeggio at the end, and it's also very melodic. So there's that. But then let's say you're just learning your 2 octave scales for now. You can work with different articulations. You can work with different rhythms. You can change the rhythm. That's very efficient when you want to get your technique very equal and very in control. Practicing with rhythms is very efficient. Like let's say you do 1 long, 1 short, da 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 da, like that, and then the opposite, short, long, da 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 da. And then you can do 1 long, 3 short, da 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 da, and the opposite, da 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 da. Or you can do sprints. You do a first octave, and then you go back from the tonic. From let's say you're in C major, you go back from the 2nd C to the 3rd C as a sprint. I love doing sprints because when you're not there yet to play super fast for long periods, it's easier for your brain to just go very fast up to a point and then reset and do it again. You know. Well, I can give an example.
Yeah, and it's also just everybody who tries their scales, they're always just like, a lot of people, their teachers say, use the metronome, try to play it as fluid and as straight as possible, and that's it. And then they're like, what do I do? It's never, like you just broke it down to approach those scales to do it in different rhythms, when that's really kind of more time you have to put in, not just playing it straight and only straight, because you find difficulty in fluidity, right?
Yeah.
You're breaking down that fluidity so that all of it can be like kind of ironed out, and then you reapply it on top of that way you're supposed to play it for your teacher, which is straight, not like what we just mentioned, but those are all the preliminary things that you could do while
Yeah,
learning those
different ways to
scales.
practice it, but
That's
the
pretty
metronome
amazing.
is also very good.
Of course, that's also another one. Yeah.
I like practicing slowly. I like alternating fast and slow because slowness brings you control.
Mhm.
And so you push
Excellent
yourself,
point.
then you go back to slow. But also, I like to use the metronome as a way to keep it. I make little games sometimes. So let's say your goal is to play at 100. So you put at 100. You make a mistake. Well, now people don't have the metronomes with the. I like
dial.
Yeah,
Well, there's
you
still a
know?
lot of people with dials. It's not
Yeah.
good, but there it exists.
I
yeah.
love the dial because that's what I used as a kid, and so I would go 4 down, and then I'd have to do it, let's say 3 times in a row, well, to go up 1.
Uh-huh.
And so just by doing that, of course, it takes a lot of time, but it keeps it interesting so that you continue practicing. Because what I notice with my students is that they play their scale twice in total, and they're like, but I practice my scales and I don't really get better. But people really underestimate the amount of repetition you need to do so that it becomes that easy, I think.
Okay.
So by gamifying, like putting little goals, like, oh, if I do this, then I have to repeat it 4 times. Or I have another thing that I take. We don't have pennies here anymore, but like any object. It could be little trombones, to attach sheets of paper together. I used to do it with 10. I think maybe it's a bit excessive, but so I would put my 10 objects on one side, and then I have a goal. The goal can be any goal. It can be for breathing, like I want to get to that phrase, or blah, blah, blah. I want to get it to that speed very clearly. So I set that goal. Each time I achieve my goal, I take an object, I put it on the other side. And and even if I have 7 of them there, if I don't achieve my goal on the 8th time, I have to bring it all back because I have to do it 10 times in a row perfectly, But then also you set a goal that's actually achievable when you do it like that. So there's that. But I think then I was doing that when I was doing my master's degree. I was a bit intense. Now maybe I would do 3 to 5, repetitions of doing it perfectly. But it all depends, if you're as intense as I was back then, go for 10. But that's all different ways to keep you playing it more, because you play it twice and you're like, no, twice is not enough. And so I'll give you a little example of what I was saying about rhythm. So let's say if I play G major 2 octaves. So I'll do short, long, short. Then the opposite. Then 1 long, 3 short. Then 3 short, 1 long. So you stop on the 4th one. Yeah, that's weird. And then you can do 1 octave as fast as you can. And then you could do it slowly, all detached. There's so many ways to practice, and you have to keep it interesting, because just doing that and change the articulation. I didn't do it yet now, but single tonguing, double tonguing. You can also, if you're practicing double tonguing, double every note. So you practice 2 things at once. Yeah, you can be creative with the way you practice.
That's great. So hopefully that answers your question, John. There's also like way more things in our book that we're going to release we'll have other ways of playing scales as to playing scales interestingly as well.
Yeah.
Maria wants to know, I don't know, she's just saying, hi, I'm losing motivation because I have no one to play with. I don't like playing along. I have Tom play, which is good, but I would really like to play with people. I'm from London, but live in Tanzania, and there's no one that plays flute. Yes, we know. That's never, playing with other people and stuff like that. It's always you have to find people, and it's always hard to find other musicians.
But you don't have to play with someone who plays the flute.
No, we can play with a pianist or play with any instrument or guitar. I'm sure there's a guitar player in Tanzania.
There has to be people playing piano or guitar.
Yeah, there's got to be those two instruments.
Or other instruments,
It might be, and then you can have a little meetup every week and play or whatever.
Yeah.
It's tough when you're learning by yourself and you don't have, and people don't necessarily have a lot of a budget to have an accompanist or another person, stuff like that too. So try to find somebody. It's always a little practice buddy.
I don't know how it is in Tanzania, but sometimes there's music schools that have little ensembles that they can do with people, or sometimes I have students who play at their local church or community centers, have different events, and then if you go in a choir, and then you might meet other people. Let's say you get in a choir, you might meet other people that play instruments in the choir. Or maybe the conductor will ask you to play a flute solo. I don't know. I know it must be a bit difficult, but
also I know there's there's an organization that's all over the world that does wind bands for amateurs or for whoever, and you can just join. There's no auditioning or anything like that. And there's a chapter, I think, in almost every country, so there might be one there, but I just can't remember the name. But when I'll find it, and I'll leave some information about it, because it's very useful. I know a lot of people who listen to the show have done that in the United States and have been able to find places to play.
Mm-hmm.
So it's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember. But it can be an issue, but it's good that you're still playing, and it's still good to have.
There's music everywhere in the world, so maybe it's different type of music. But if you're open, you could also learn cool stuff by playing maybe with local musicians who play different types of instruments as well, and maybe you'll learn to play by ear or learn to I don't know, just saying. But usually there's choirs everywhere. There's different things, and then
in churches
you can also, or even just
regular choir, non-religious choirs.
But just there's different places. Because music is part of communities, it's just about finding it. Maybe if you call the city,
the
municipality, and try to see, do you know what there is? Usually there's a little art council, or I don't know.
Yeah, because there's got to be some musicians in Tanzania.
There's musicians everywhere in the world.
Musicians everywhere, and But to go back on technique, I'm just wondering, what is maybe the most common thing you see in students when it's regarding technique that you find very similar? Is there particular aspects of the technique that most people are trying to get a grasp on that you're able to?
Not that wide, no. I would say.
Would you say? Yeah, okay.
It really depends.
Right. Would articulation, for instance, be something
but
that...
let's say, I would say, sometimes very high fingers can be an issue. Oh. What I noticed recently also is, the use of the B thumb, the B flat with the thumb, the thumb lever B flat. I noticed that people get very attached to one of the fingerings. To me, it's an issue. It's a problem because you should be comfortable with both, depending on the context.
Okay.
So if you have a B natural just after, or you have a F sharp third octave, because you can't play the B foot lever with a F sharp third octave, it's not going to sound good. Then if you have that and you don't, you're not comfortable with the other, with the long one with the index finger, it's an issue because you're always just moving your thumb in the back. I feel it's a bit it's a lot of movement. It's a weird movement too. It's not like lifting. It's a bit slower to slide. And I have students who, on the opposite, they are used to the index finger, and it's very difficult to make them use the B flat with the thumb, which is a very good fingering in so many contexts. So I think, yeah, it's important to use both. When I practice my scales, I try to use the index ones, so I'm very comfortable with it. But when I play etudes, pieces, I always try to use the thumb as much as I can.
Okay.
So that I kind of balance it out.
Nice.
But yeah, I would say try to use both.
Cool.
And depending on the context.
Oh yeah, depending on the context, totally, completely. Griffiths111 wants to know, I'm pretty new on the flute. Also first woodwind instrument, I guess. And sometimes I have problems separating the digitation with the breath, the fingerings, like without noticing. When I change the note, I kind of cut the airflow. Do you have any tips for that?
Yeah, it's very common in beginners. I think it's because it's a lot of concentration for a beginner to remember to move the fingers, you know, and so you just stop blowing. It's totally normal. What I tell my students in the beginning is to take their flute and just practice the fingerings. Let's say one of the most difficult ones for a beginner is C to D, you know. So I tell them, because also on the flute you don't see your fingers, so it's for a beginner, before you can kind of feel your fingers and know where everything is without looking, it can be an extra difficulty. So I would say practice just the fingerings. Then maybe if you want to start not breathing in between, just take 2 notes. G-A. G-A is just one finger. And just go blow while you move it. And then play just 2 notes, you know, without tonguing. Just, you have to, when you have a difficulty, it's because it's like a overload for your brain. Just try to make smaller bites until things get more automated, and then you can move forward.
Okay, that's really interesting. So you want more, to be able to do that. That's amazing. Great. What else do we have here? Do we have any other questions? No any other questions, but if you have any other questions, please let us know. Just a little break in between your questions and stuff is that we have patreon.com/theflutechannel, where all of our videos are there ad-free. For as little as $2 a month, I think, and I think $5 for TFC Unlimited. You get all of that there, and that's pretty amazing and fun. And we have a nice community there. And if you want to support us and help us make more great content, by all means, go there and check that out. Also, we have musigy.com, where your book, the beginner book and intermediate book, and your album as well, which is available at musigy.com, MUSOGY.com. And you can check out the album too, which is Amelie playing Telemann's 12 Fantasias. Telemann's 12 Fantasias. So you can get them there, along with the sheet music and also the album itself to listen to. And then what else we have? We also have, Amelie also has a flute studio as well. So if you want lessons, be sure to email us at info@theflutechannel.com, and we will talk to you and send you all the information about that if you want to do online lessons, or if you're in the Montreal area, by all means email us at info@theflutechannel.com.
I'd like to do maybe a summer flute day.
Yep.
And people could play.
Totally. And that'll be online. That'll be an online thing, I think, right?
Yeah, I'd like to do an online flute day.
Yeah.
And where I would like people to play, because I feel like sometimes people are scared to play, but they shouldn't be, because you can see it almost as it's good for you, because you get tools and you get, but it's also like public service in a way, because other people are looking and they can hear the difference, let's say, in the sound right away. And they're like, you learn so much from watching others learn. And so I think it's amazing. And yeah, so I would really like to do that this summer. Do
for
a little flute day.
And you can find,
flute morning or whatever.
Yeah, and I believe you can find out information about that if we ever have it. If you can go on MuseG, you can join our newsletter. On the bottom of the page, I think you can add your email and you're on a newsletter, and we usually send out to all of our and also we'll make a notice obviously on the channel community page here on YouTube, but both you'll find information. Some people don't necessarily go to the YouTube page, but they do check their emails. So
and like we could do a little warm up in the morning, like a little technique,
a little flute day,
sound and technique, and then have people play and then
talk.
And then talk and stuff like that. So
I think a lot of people will be very down for that, and we're going to be organizing that for the summer so that people have time to come and participate.
And like maybe eventually we could have that as a more like 4 times a year or something like that. I would really like that.
Oh yeah, eventually that'd be really great. Oh yeah, and so so that's all the information we have in regards of all the things that we're having going on right now, and then so back to, I just wanted to know a little bit more about like with technique and stuff. And I remember at the beginning of the show, we were mentioning a couple of names like Reichert and Taffanel, and whenever we say those words, we just want to clarify some people might not know them. So like those are composers. Like Paul Taffanel is a composer from and a flute player from France. You can find his music. It's a lot of it's in the public domain.
Taffanel and Gobert, both of them.
There's also Gobert as well. Yes.
They wrote this technique book, flute book, and they were professors of flute at the Paris Conservatory.
Right.
And that book of daily exercises, we call it EJ because it's exercice journalier in French, and it's the first letter of each word, but it's daily exercises, and they're very good exercises. So it traveled over, when was it published? It must have been 100 years ago.
I don't know the exact date.
Must have been a while.
Yeah, at least.
It's old, and it's still very good. Yeah, so there's that.
Yeah, and just and then there's a thing called the 17 Big Daily Exercises, and that is you can find online there too. But also there's also the Complete Method by Paul Taffanel and Gobert, and that 17 is in that book. So don't be confused about one is different than the other. In fact, the Complete is just complete. It's just an extension of those 17 plus way more. And then there's also the small book, which is the more portable one. And then Reichert is another one that you mentioned a lot, and that's Reichert is also in the public domain, and you can find that in many places too.
Yeah, it's called
is Reichert 7 Daily Exercises?
Something like
that. It's a smaller number, but those are.
I love them.
Yeah, those are great.
I love practicing them.
Yeah.
I might make my own edition of them because I have my own way of practicing them.
Right.
I made a full keeping in shape type of warm-up / technique.
Video, right? I thought we made a video.
Maybe I made a video of it a long time ago.
No, that was something else.
Kind of. It's kind of what I use, but I take one exercise for the day and I practice it in different ways, and I practice different things with it. And yeah, I think they're good.
Yeah,
I like that.
And and like there's really a handful of old books like that a lot, like you just said, many different flutists made their own books or their own methods like that in the past, and so there's a lot of those. So when we reference those, just go and look them up, see what they're all about, because it's all important stuff, and it's very interesting.
And like now we don't invent as much stuff. We just take, like, let's say in the technique book, I just
mix and repeat.
I kind of took stuff from different places, but what's my contribution is that I make it more digestible than just getting, let's say, Taffanel and Gobert and seeing that stuff and not knowing where to start, Yeah. And it's not just that. There's other exercises that I added in there.
Yeah, you're guiding. It's a different type of guide.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, it's I'm not reinventing the wheel. Some of the exercises, I modify them because I feel, maybe it's more digestible this way and stuff like that. But Yeah, but it's always like how people.
Right, and many would just say that you're just the whole entire your method is a method. It's its own method by itself. You created a beginner book that has its own theology and methodology behind all of it. Doesn't matter where it's necessarily coming from, but it's all coming from your expertise and educational aptitude to teach a person a specific way. Like your books are teaching a specific way that's very different than Tapin Colbert.
Oh, totally. It's completely different.
So it's completely different.
Yeah.
In a lot of respects.
Yeah. But I'm just saying that's where the difference is.
Yeah,
in the
comes
way.
From all the experience. Yeah, that's the big difference.
There, it's brought with the pedagogy. There's more pedagogy in the way I do it because back then, of course,
there was back then pedagogy was different.
You knew that everyone had a flute teacher if they had the book.
Totally.
They had someone guiding them.
They didn't have technology. They didn't have all these things.
Yeah, you know? So it's different.
You're absolutely right.
Maybe people had a different type of patience to learn stuff.
Totally. Different speed of learning, different speed of approaching learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
The pacing was different, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe it was.
Yeah.
But, you know.
But there's a lot of similarities.
No one's self-made. We all get inspired by others. And then we bring our own little thing into the mix, you know? We don't start from nothing. We take what's there, and then we just put a little extra of what we can bring. You know?
Mio Cito was saying here, it's interesting about the B flat. Did you talk about B flat just recently?
Yeah.
I still struggle with high notes sometimes. Any advice?
Oh, you mean the high B flat? Yes. So, if you still struggle with the high notes, there can be different reasons. I don't know if it's because of all those fingerings are so tricky because so many fingers are moving at the same time.
Oh, no. High E and D is what she said, in fact. She just corrected us in the chat.
So let's see. The high D, I don't understand.
Maybe it's the two-finger D?
Yeah, but that one is very easy to get out. So what I think is that you're probably overblowing it.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
You probably think it's harder than it is, and you go for it, you know? But the high D is not a very difficult note.
There also could be something wrong with the flute. When I just think about it, something could be covering a hole that could be causing something going weirdy wonky. If your flute's brand new, it should not do that. If you haven't got your flute repaired in a while, then yes, I get dizzy. Oh, yeah, she's blowing too much. Or he or she, sorry.
Yeah, and taking too much air in. So I think, yeah. So try to see if you can blow less to get that D. The E, I get it. It's a very fragile note. It's more difficult. If you have a donut on your flute, I think you can also have it installed.
Yep.
So you can go to a flute technician and ask for, if there's no split E mechanism on your flute, you can ask the technician to put a donut on your flute.
It's called an E facilitator. Or a donut, but they'll know what they're talking about.
Yeah. That can help, but also sometimes it's to find the right amount of air pressure. It's about air speed, not amount of air. But sometimes beginners, what they do is because they don't control air speed, they just go like put as much air as they can in the flute and it kind of works. So then they think, oh, that's how you're supposed to do it. And they continue doing that. And maybe it helped you when you first did high notes, but now you're at a new level where you have to understand air speed instead of just quantity of air.
Totally.
I have videos about playing high notes, playing low notes, going from one register to the other. You should look at those things. It's going to help you a lot.
Oh, that was really great. Thanks, everybody, so much. I just wanted to add, there's just one more, but I think it's a comment more than anything, and it's Rice Bowl. He wants to know, hi, Amelie. I don't know if you remember me from a previous live stream, but I was a beginner the last time. I've gotten my flute, and now I'm learning the flute pretty well. I've managed to play some pieces.
Wow, congratulations.
Congratulations. That's great. That's the whole purpose of what we do here. And hopefully you're continuing to have fun with the flute. So that's the end of our show today. Hopefully you guys really enjoyed it. Stay tuned next month for the last Sunday of every month for our next Flute Talk podcast. But we're also going to do some more just practicings, finishing up our Telemann album. I think 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 just practicings are going to come up in the next couple months. We're going to put a couple every once in a while, but keep your eyes out for that. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe to our channel. Also, go and follow us on anywhere you listen to podcasts, you know, Spotify, iTunes, wherever you listen to podcasts, Podcast Addict, any of those, subscribe to us there. That really helps us out. We really appreciate all of our podcast only listeners who only listen to our podcast and then watch our videos, but not necessarily watch the live show. And then we also appreciate all the people who are watching now as well, and all that wonderful good stuff. And also be sure to like this video. If you also have a comment about this video, or if you have any questions and you're listening to this after, please come to our channel at youtube.com/flute channel and leave a comment on one of our videos or any of our Flute Talk podcast videos, and enjoy consuming our content there. I think that's everything. Is that everything? Yes, it is. I think. Unless I missed something. Also, just check out our website, musigi.com, for Emily's beginner flute lessons and intermediate flute lessons, and other content as well.
Yes.
Thanks, everybody, so much. Hopefully everyone has a great rest of the month. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. See you.